From Mike Matisow getting a cooler after exploding at Sean Shaken.
You know, we're in a hand. You need to shut the up.
Uh-oh.
What did you say, Mike?
Mike.
What did you say, Mike?
To Tony G delivering the most brutal verbal beatdown in poker history.
Yeah! Look at this. Look how he's doing. Look how he's playing. Look how ugly this is. You're a professional player and I can do this to you. You're a terrible player. This is disgraceful.
The Felt has witnessed some unforgettable clashes. So, buckle up, because we're diving into 5 of the most chaotic fights ever to erupt at the poker table. Number 5, Jamie Gold versus Eric Molina. The 2006 WSOP main event was destined for chaos from the moment Jamie Gold sat down at the Felt. This Hollywood television producer had turned poker into his personal reality show, complete with non-stop chatter that would make a talk show host jealous. By the time the field had thinned to serious money, Gold had accumulated a mountain of chips that matched his ego.
Chip leader Jamie Gold is hooked up in a hand with smack-talking leader Eric Molina. It is Gold's turn to act.
300.
And he is going to raise to $300,000 after the turn.
Eric Molina represented everything Gold wasn't. Quiet, methodical, and seemingly unimpressed by the Hollywood glitz surrounding his opponent. As the tournament progressed deeper, tension between the chatty amateur and the focused grinder became palpable. Gold had perfected the art of talking his opponents into submission, using his silver tongue to create an atmosphere where folding felt like the safest option for most mortals.
Back to Molina now.
I raise.
Got a raise is coming up.
You raise me 200?
Yes.
And a re-raise from Eric Molina.
Raise.
Might as well put it all in.
Might as well.
You don't have that much left.
Molina, sitting with a significantly shorter stack but still dangerous enough to make noise, decided he'd had enough of Gold's antics. With ESPN cameras rolling and millions watching, Molina announced he was all in, shoving his chips forward with the determination of a man who'd reached his breaking point.
Might as well put it all in.
Might as well.
You don't have that much left.
I'm on.
All in.
There you go.
Jamie should be careful what he wished for.
Big re-raise.
But it wasn't the all-in that ignited the fireworks. It was what came next. Molina, perhaps caught up in the adrenaline of challenging the tournament's most feared player, flipped his all-in chip across the felt with enough force to make it land directly behind Gold's mountainous chip stack. The gesture carried unmistakable disrespect, like tossing your business card at someone during a heated negotiation. Without missing a beat, Gold grabbed the offending chip and fired it right back at Molina.
Big re-raise back to Gold. Molina flips his all-in button, ends up in front of Jamie Gold, and it's fired back.
Hey, don't be an ass.
Excuse me?
Asses in glass houses shouldn't throw
All
chips.
in.
The exchange only escalated from there.
Just because you're losing, that's funny.
I'm losing.
Yeah.
Who's sitting there with no chips?
Losing this hand, sir.
The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Here was a short stack telling the chip leader he was losing, which was technically true in the most important way. Gold was losing his mind. The verbal sparring continued with both players trading barbs like boxers exchanging jabs. Gold's frustration was evident in every gesture. This was supposed to be his moment of triumph, his amateur becomes champion story, but Molina was refusing to play the role of intimidated opponent. Instead, he was pushing back, treating the chip leader like just another player instead of the poker messiah Gold believed himself to be.
Call me then.
You want to make a side bet who lasts longer in the tournament?
Stop. Sure.
Yeah? How much?
How about you get in this hand right now?
How much?
This is a classy confrontation.
Call me then.
Tournament officials watched nervously as the situation escalated, ready to step in if things moved beyond verbal warfare. The ESPN cameras captured every moment, turning what should have been a routine poker hand into must-see television. This was exactly the kind of drama that made poker a mainstream phenomenon, but it was also dangerously close to crossing lines that couldn't be uncrossed.
Molina testing the patience of chip leader Jamie Gold.
You're going to fold. Stop wasting time, so. You just got caught, so why don't you just hurry up? That's a 70,000.
After minutes of posturing and verbal jousting, Gold eventually made his decision. He folded, but not without getting the last word.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know you did.
Gold will fold. And Molina takes the pot.
I'll see you at the end. I mean, sorry, no, I won't.
I'll be honest with you, Lon. I don't like walking into a card room when this is what I see and hear. I wish they would take it outside to, like, Antarctica.
Molina wasn't finished either. As he raked in the pot, the adrenaline and frustration of the moment got the better of him, and he dropped an F-bomb that became an instant regret. The tournament staff immediately assessed him a 6-minute penalty, much to Gold's visible delight. Watching his opponent get penalized was like Christmas morning for the chip leader.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Well, the hand is over, but these two just will not let it go. The jousting continues.
Excuse me, penalty. Penalty.
I did not say that.
No, thank you. Penalty.
I did not.
Thank you.
I did not complete that word. First of all, floor, I did not. Camera?
Bye.
No, I didn't complete the word.
He said the F word.
No, I did not.
Take a walk.
Yes, that's wrong.
Bye.
Now, this would not be the first time that Molina would be sent off with a penalty.
What's that, shadow puppets?
6 minutes on
The penalty gave Gold exactly what he wanted, the moral high ground and a few minutes to bask in his opponent's misfortune. He spent those 6 minutes like a kid who'd just gotten his playground bully sent to the principal's office, making sure everyone knew who the good guy was in this confrontation. Despite the dramatics, both players continued grinding toward the final table. Gold's prediction proved accurate. He never did see Molina at the end, as Molina busted in 31st place for $329,865, a consolation prize that softened the sting of being verbally destroyed by a Hollywood producer. Gold, meanwhile, rode his massive chip stack and endless chatter all the way to the championship, claiming a record-setting $12 million first prize that stood as the largest main event win in WSOP history. Number 4, Jeffrey Lisandro versus Prahlad Friedma. Jeffrey Lisandro, a 6-time WSOP bracelet winner and 2009 Player of the Year, found himself in the crosshairs of an accusation that cut to the very core of poker integrity. Prahlad Spirit Rock Friedman was never one to back down from controversy. The California cash game veteran had built his reputation on aggressive play and an even more aggressive mouth, never hesitating to call out what he perceived as angle shooting or rule bending. On this particular day, his radar was locked onto Lisandro, and he was convinced he'd caught the Australian pro in an act of deception that demanded immediate justice.
And he's going to make the call. Holmes will fold.
Seriously, I thought I saw you throw that out, man.
Prahlad making a big deal out of a little thing. He believes Lisandro, not Holmes, failed to put out an ante.
Heads up to the flop.
The catalyst was seemingly minor, a missed blind that Friedman believed Lisandro had failed to post. In tournament poker, this is the equivalent of not paying your fair share of the grocery bill. It's a small amount that creates massive trust issues. Friedman had been watching Lisandro like a hawk, and when the opportunity arose to call him out, he pounced with the enthusiasm of a district attorney presenting evidence to a grand jury.
Trailing badly.
I thought you threw it out, dude. So, you know, I'm not 100%, but they should check it.
Holmes seems uninterested.
Lisandro just focusing on the business at hand. Here we go to the turn card.
The accusation hung in the air like smoke from a badly played bluff, poisonous and lingering. In poker circles, calling someone a cheat, even indirectly, is like questioning their mother's virtue and their father's courage simultaneously. Friedman wasn't content to let the matter drop. He continued needling, working the angle like a dog with a bone, convinced he was the table's self-appointed sheriff.
I don't want to hold up the game.
I saw him throw the ante in. He says he did. You know, I don't necessarily believe him. So, I mean.
Prahlad won't give it up.
Lisandro, who'd been grinding professionally long before Friedman learned what a small blind was, felt his Irish-Australian temper rising like mercury in a thermometer. Here was this cash game player, treating him like some amateur who would steal pennies from a fountain. The accusation was insulting on a level that bypassed rational thought and went straight to primitive fight-or-flight responses.
So if he threw the ante out, he just gets robbed because he's more bold and says that
Are you 1,000%?
I'm not 1,000%. I saw him throw.
Lisandro finally snapped, his voice carrying decades of tournament experience and zero patience for amateur investigators. It was a measured response compared to what was building inside him, but Friedman wasn't intimidated by Lisandro's credentials or his growing anger. If anything, the resistance only convinced him he was onto something big.
I saw him throw it in.
If I knew for sure you think I'm going to rob him for 5,000, you idiot.
It doesn't matter.
You're having like an idiot.
I'm acting like an idiot, all right?
You didn't even see it.
I don't trust you, sir, okay? I don't trust you.
That's when Lissandro's patience finally shattered like a wine glass hitting concrete. The Australian pro, whose resume included more WSOP gold than most players see in their dreams, rose from his chair with the deliberate movements of a man who had made a very specific decision. Tournament officials, sensing the sudden shift in atmospheric pressure, began moving toward the table to avoid a full-out war.
Playing poker long enough?
John?
Is he going to stop?
Can I talk to you for 1 second? Over here?
It has escalated. These things tend to fester like a cold sore.
Now, Prahlad has gone away from the table to talk to the floor man.
They probably have it on film somewhere.
If he keeps aggravating,
Here comes Lissandro.
No, this is
I'll take his $10,000. It's not even his $5,000 chip.
This wasn't poker talk or table banter. It was a genuine threat delivered with the conviction of someone who had reached his absolute limit. The confrontation had escalated from a rules dispute to character assassination to physical threats in less time than it takes to shuffle a deck. Other players at the table shifted uncomfortably, suddenly very interested in their chip stacks as two grown men prepared to solve their differences with methods that predated the invention of playing cards.
It's not even his chip.
I saw him throw it in.
Three times, you piece of...
Come on, that's what I said.
I'll take your head off, buddy.
Oh, and now this incident is beginning to spin out of control.
Right.
Hey, deal me
Last time I want to hear it.
Please don't threaten me in front of everyone.
Last time I want to hear it.
He said you'll knock my
Don't worry
teeth
about
out.
threatening it, buddy.
We're going to keep this.
Did you hear
We're
what
done.
he said? He said he'll knock my teeth out.
Okay, I'm not being called a thief anymore.
I understand.
You take him off if he says it again.
As officials worked to restore order, the two players found themselves in the awkward position of having to continue playing poker together while the adrenaline of near violence still coursed through their systems. The first hand after the confrontation saw them clash head-to-head, with Friedman winning a pot that felt less like poker and more like a continuation of their verbal war by other means. Lissandro had indeed posted his ante, exactly as he'd claimed. Friedman's accusations, delivered with such moral certainty, were completely wrong. And after realizing he'd just made himself look foolish on national television, he attempted to regain some credibility by bluffing his way to a couple of pots. Number 3, Eric Persson versus Phil Hellmuth. The 2022 PokerGo $25,000 heads-up showdown was supposed to be Phil Hellmuth's show, another opportunity for the 17-time WSOP bracelet winner to demonstrate why he's poker royalty. Instead, it became a masterclass in how to out-brat the original poker brat, courtesy of Maverick Gaming CEO Eric Persson, a man who apparently studied at the Hellmuth School of Table Tantrums and decided to graduate with honors.
We're at this table because of me, Phil.
What are you talking about?
This beat your table.
Phil has an Achilles heel, and it's his ego. He's going in on it.
Queen on the river. The river, 7.
Drills 3 5s, draw into a 5. That's what I love about Phil. He remembers half the hands.
Oh, you're ace 5.
Hellmuth arrived at the felt with his usual swagger, the kind of confidence that comes from decades of making opponents fold better hands through sheer force of personality. At 58, he'd seen every type of player the poker world could produce: grinders, gamblers, internet kids, and casino owners. What he hadn't prepared for was Eric Persson, a successful businessman who'd played poker like a man with nothing to lose and everything to prove. The trouble started before the cards were even dealt. Hellmuth, never one to undersell his abilities, made the fatal mistake of treating Persson like just another rich amateur looking to donate money to a legend.
You have some issues with the truth, don't you?
I have no issues with the truth. Truth is, I'm going to whoop you.
All right, my patience is out. I'm going to have to take you out quickly now.
I doubt it. You straighten up your chair?
You've talked.
Oh, no.
Well, if we were playing heads up somewhere else, I could have my headphones on and just ignore all the bull. But now I have to engage and just bust you quickly. You're not smart enough.
This was classic Phil. Intimidation wrapped in inevitability, designed to plant seeds of doubt in his opponent's mind before the psychological warfare even began. But Persson wasn't intimidated. He was inspired. Here was the poker world's most famous tantrum thrower, the man who'd turned tournament outbursts into an art form, trying to punk him on television. Instead of shrinking back, Persson leaned into the confrontation like a NASCAR driver heading into a turn.
Man, he brought his A game today. He's going to beat me in 20 minutes. Yeah. Start the clock.
You might be one of the most, I will say this, you might be one of the most obnoxious guys I've played in the last few years.
The first few hands set the tone for what would become one of the most entertaining psychological battles in poker history. Hellmuth, accustomed to being the table's main character, found himself competing with someone who refused to play the supporting role. Person's strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. Give Hellmuth a taste of his own medicine, then double the dose. When Phil complained, Persson complained louder. When Phil questioned a play, Persson questioned Phil's entire career. It was like watching someone fight fire with gasoline, and the results were spectacularly destructive for everyone involved.
I think you need to be obnoxious to win, maybe. Maybe you don't have the skills, but...
I'm gonna win, Phil. We're gonna fast forward to the end. I'm gonna beat you. I'm not sure what you're gonna say.
You have no chance. You've had all those river cards.
The psychological dynamics were fascinating to watch unfold. Hellmuth, the master manipulator, was being out-manipulated by someone who understood that the best way to handle a bully is to become a bigger bully. Every time Phil tried to assert his dominance, Persson matched him and raised, creating a feedback loop of escalating aggression that neither player seemed able or willing to stand.
Phil, you and I, right now.
Is that all you can do, is offer bets?
Would you like to do 100,000?
Is that all you can do, offer? Can you play your hand?
I'm
You're burning
asking
my
you.
time, man.
Oh, you just took a leak for 2 minutes. Don't tell me I'm burning your time.
I asked you before the match.
I
if it
understand.
was okay. You said
I
yes.
understand, Phil.
So now you want to call that out on me too, huh?
It's a fact.
As the match progressed, Persson's needling became more personal and more effective. He called Hellmuth a bitch, flipped him off with both hands while laughing maniacally, and generally treated the 17-time bracelet winner like a washed-up has-been who had overstayed his welcome at poker's top table. The commentators noted that Persson had crossed lines that most players wouldn't dare approach, but the CEO seemed to relish being the villain in Hellmuth's story.
Such a bitch, Phil. You're such a bitch.
Show your hand if you're going to say stupid stuff. Let me beat.
Of course it did. But the fact is, you thought I was going to fold. You just bluffed off at 30 of your chips because you were wrong again. You're going broke today,
What do you think I had when I bet 72,000, big shot?
I think you had me beat.
I feel as though that moment there may have been the one that crossed the line.
That's why you get drawn down.
You got no shot today.
Yeah, that was
You had
just
the wrong draw.
extremely disrespectful.
Yeah.
The beautiful irony was watching Hellmuth struggle with his own medicine. For decades, he'd been the one pushing boundaries, testing limits, seeing how far he could go before officials stepped in. Now he was on the receiving end of similar treatment, and his discomfort was palpable. The hunter had become the hunted, and he didn't like the view from the other side.
Persson has Phil tilting and
This is where
not
you
even
raised me
playing
last
that
time.
well anymore. Like, what, I don't even
Let's
know
see
what
if he
Phil's
got the
doing.
Guts to do it again.
I wouldn't raise you here, Phil. I have the best hand. I need you to bluff off the river.
Okay.
I mean, he's playing Phil like a fiddle right now. It's really strong.
The breaking point came when Hellmuth, frustrated beyond reason, actually asked tournament staff for protection from Persson's verbal assault. The request was simultaneously pathetic and hilarious. Poker's ultimate trash talker asking for shelter from someone giving him the Hellmuth treatment. It was like watching Muhammad Ali ask for headgear because his opponent was punching too hard. Both.
Man,
Otherwise, you're going to go out
can you just
like
shut the up?
like a little bitch.
Paul, can I get some protection? Like in a normal tournament, the obnoxious guy they'd give him a
Listen
penalty.
to Phil.
Call him
Phil
over.
must know what happens to the
Paul,
obnoxious guy.
I'm asking for some protection.
Starting to get a little out of line.
All right.
Come over, Paul. I'm asked you to come up. Will you please come up? This guy's been completely out of line for like an hour. I'm really getting sick of it. In any other tournament on the planet, I don't have to put up with this bullshit. They just kick the guy out or give him a penalty. He needs to be.
Both players later apologized for their behavior, which was probably the classiest thing either of them did during the entire match. They even ran it back on High Stakes Duel, where Hellmuth got his revenge in a much more civilized encounter. But their first meeting remains a perfect example of what happens when psychological warfare becomes mutually assured destruction. Nobody wins, everybody gets entertained. Number 2, Tony G versus Ralph Perry. The 2008 Intercontinental Poker Championships promised international flair and professional excellence. What it delivered was one of the most savage verbal beatdowns in poker history, courtesy of Antanas Tony G. Guoga, a Lithuanian businessman who played poker like he was conquering small countries, and treated opponents like they were personally responsible for every bad thing that had ever happened to him.
Here's a funny sight.
Seeing those three guys on one side of the table and Tony G on the other.
I call. I want to play with him. I got a weak hand, though.
Ralph Perry represented Russia in this prestigious event, a seasoned professional who'd been grinding tournaments since 1992 and carried himself with the quiet dignity of someone who'd seen poker evolve from smoky backrooms to television spectacles. He spoke little, played solid, and probably thought the biggest danger at the table would be bad beats, not psychological warfare that would make a KGB interrogator uncomfortable.
I'm still calling if you raise, unless you go all in. I might still call if you go all in. How much
Ralph
have you
Perry
got?
might raise here. He's got King Jack offsuit.
How much more? 80 more? I'm calling.
Tony G had built his reputation on being poker's most theatrical villain, the guy who could make opponents lose their minds just by existing loudly in their general vicinity. The hand that would become legendary started innocuously enough, with Tony G looking down at ace-2 of spades, a hand that most professionals would treat with respect but not reverence. It was the kind of holding that could win a tournament or bust you in spectacular fashion, depending on how the poker gods were feeling that particular day. But Tony G wasn't playing the cards, he was playing the man. As the action began, he launched into his patented psychological warfare routine designed to extract information while planting seeds of doubt.
Ralph Perry, how much to raise?
How much more do you want to make it? Just tell me. Can you put the clock? What is this?
You seriously call for the clock here.
Perry, holding King Jack offsuit, found himself in the crosshairs of Tony G's verbal assault without quite realizing it yet. The Russian pro was focused on his cards and the pot odds, treating this like a normal poker hand instead of the psychological ambush it was rapidly becoming. He was bringing a calculator to what Tony G intended to be a knife fight. Perry, perhaps sensing weakness in Tony G's verbose explanations or maybe just tired of listening to the constant chatter, decided to raise the stakes. It was a reasonable play against most opponents, but Tony G wasn't most opponents. He was a verbal predator who just successfully manipulated his prey into making exactly the move he wanted.
It's gotten out of fun and games here. And Ralph Perry's going to raise $120,000.
120 more. How much more has he got? I'm all in.
All in.
All in. You wanna do this? Do this properly.
Perry, trapped by the combination of pot odds, pride, and the lingering belief that his opponent's chatter indicated weakness, made the call that would haunt him for the rest of his career. It was the kind of decision that looks reasonable in isolation, but catastrophic in retrospect. The cards were revealed, and Tony G's suited ace dominated Perry's unsuited King Jack. The Russian pro had walked into a trap, so obvious that even the television commentators saw it coming. Yet somehow Perry'd been blinded to the danger by Tony G's masterful manipulation. It was like watching someone step on a landmine after the person who planted it had spent 5 minutes explaining exactly where the explosives were buried.
I'm here to give my chips away to you.
Now, in this instance, Tony G's playing brilliantly. And Ralph Perry calls. Tony G got to Ralph Perry.
Wow. You play very well. You play very, very well.
Wow. All right.
I cannot see Ralph Perry calling anybody else in this situation.
You're a champion. Send you back to Russia.
But the real show hadn't even started yet. The verbal assault was relentless, systematic, and completely unnecessary. Perry was already eliminated, but Tony G wanted to make sure his opponent's dignity was buried alongside his tournament hopes. The tirade continued for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes, with Tony G channeling the spirits of every playground bully who had ever lived.
Putting all his money in with King Jack calling. This is not someone to learn from.
Ralph Perry needs a king or a jack.
Seven on the turn.
Pair the board, baby.
Ralph
Teach
Perry
him a good lesson here.
is down in the river. Needs a king or a jack.
Yeah! Yeah, baby! Come on, Russian, get out. It's time to go. Yeah! Look at this. Look how he's doing. Look how he's playing. Look how ugly this is. You're a professional player, and I can do this to you. You're a terrible player. This is disgraceful.
Perry, to his eternal credit, maintained his composure throughout the verbal beating. While Tony G ranted and raved like a dictator addressing his enemies, the Russian pro simply acknowledged the hand with a quiet, good hand, and prepared to leave with whatever dignity his opponent hadn't managed to strip away. It was a masterclass in grace under pressure that made Tony G's histrionics look even more pathetic by comparison.
I got you covered. Is this how you play? You call with King Jack? Which school have you been to?
How close is those?
Ralph
What is
Perry
this?
looks like Mike Tyson after Buster Douglas got through with him.
The entire episode revealed something ugly about competitive poker, the thin line between psychological pressure and simple cruelty. Tony G had won the hand through superior play and better cards, but his celebration crossed every line of sportsmanship and basic human decency. Number 1. Mike the Mouth Matisow versus Shahram Sheikhan. The 2005 WSOP main event was a powder keg waiting for a spark. Mike the Mouth Matisow squared off against Shahram Sean Sheikhan. That spark turned into a nuclear explosion that redefined what it meant to lose your composure at poker's biggest stage. This wasn't just a clash between two players. It was a collision between two personalities so combustible that their mere presence at the same table violated several laws of physics.
Matisow and the Sheik, not kindred spirits.
You calling up that raise, Mike?
No, I'm just gonna
Mike Matisow arrived at the tournament with his reputation preceding him like a weather warning. The Mouth had earned his nickname through decades of verbal warfare, table talk that could drive opponents insane, and an emotional range that swung from euphoric celebration to suicidal despair faster than a Vegas mood ring. He was poker's most entertaining train wreck, a player whose talent was matched only by his ability to self-destruct in spectacular fashion.
And now on the river, only a queen would knock Matisow out of the main event.
It is a queen!
No! No! No!
Ed Foster has knocked Matisow out of this tournament.
Why do I get deserve this?
A catastrophic hit to Mike Matisow, who never shies away from showing his emotions.
The tension between these two forces of nature had been building for hours before the infamous hand that would launch their feud into poker immortality. They were like two radio stations broadcasting on the same frequency, creating nothing but static and interference whenever they interacted. Other players at the table watched nervously, sensing that something explosive was brewing, but powerless to prevent the inevitable detonation. The catalyst came during what should have been a routine hand. Sheikhan had folded pre-flop, removing himself from the immediate action, but not from his role as table commentator and self-appointed director of entertainment. As the flop was dealt with only Matisow and another opponent involved in the pot, Sean's impulsive reaction when a flop was revealed in the hand he wasn't even participating in. He slammed the table in frustration, inadvertently giving away the strength of his hand.
Like that, I'm taking the bus.
Raymer, glasses and all, has put down a 20,000 chip raise with 2 sevens and a straight draw on the board. Matisow comes over the top with a 40,000 chip raise.
Sheikhan had just committed one of poker's cardinal sins, providing information about his folded hand while others were still playing. Matisow's reaction was instantaneous and thermonuclear. Here was a player who'd built his entire career on verbal warfare and psychological manipulation, and his opponent had just handed him the ultimate ammunition. The Mouth exploded with the fury of someone who'd been personally insulted by the poker gods themselves.
40,000 chip raise.
Putting a lot of pressure on Raymer.
Raymer considers, does he want to lose that many chips here? Nope, he folds it.
You gotta stop me, buddy. I'm gonna bust you if you me.
Matisow taunting Raymer here.
All right, Mikey. You ain't playing with kids, buddy.
Tournament director Jack Effel found himself in the unenviable position of referee in a cage match between two mental patients. This led to Matisow and Sheikhan receiving penalties, a 10-minute timeout that served as a cooling-off period and gave ESPN editors enough material to create their own reality show about poker meltdowns.
I'm asking a question, Jack. Did you hear what he just said to me?
No, I did not.
Right or wrong?
What was just said?
He said, I'm in the middle of the hand, you need to shut the up. Quote unquote.
Okay, is that what was said?
Tournament official Jack Effel refereeing.
We're gonna play the remainder of this hand, and I'm gonna explain to you what's gonna happen here.
So we'll all have to wait for Jack.
Guys, listen. Easy, buddy. We are not going to start the tournament out this way. And first of all, when the flop came, you slammed the table.
Sure
Then both of you guys got into it. So guess what? Right now, both of you guys are on a 10-minute penalty. Away from the table. Both of you guys on the rail for 10 minutes. And listen, if I hear a word from either one, it's going to be 20. So the best thing you guys can do is go out on the rail for 10 minutes.
So Ethel issues a timeout.
The television cameras captured every moment of the escalating madness, turning what should have been a professional poker tournament into the kind of reality television that makes producers rich and participants infamous. The climax came when Matusow finally found his moment of redemption after the short break. He'd been grinding, waiting, building toward the hand that would allow him to extract his revenge in the most satisfying way possible, by eliminating his tormentor from the tournament. When the cards fell his way and he made the nut flush, it was less about poker and more about cosmic justice.
Nice hand. Lazar folds and Matusow has his man.
Nice nuts!
He has taken down the Sheik. Finally.
Well, you can win with grace, or you can win this way.
After numerous intense rounds of actions between these two, Mike Matusow delivers the satisfying knockout punch to Sean Shaikan. He goes out in 11th.
Shaikan's elimination in 11th place for $600,000 should have been the end of their story, but the poker gods have a sense of humor. Matusow, despite winning the battle and claiming his opponent's tournament life, couldn't win the war. He busted just 2 places higher for $1 million. Proving that sometimes in poker, as in life, there are no real winners, only different degrees of losing. And that's all from this video. Now to you. Which of these explosive confrontations shocked you the most? Was it Tony G's ruthless verbal destruction, Matusow's emotional meltdown, or maybe Persson turning the tables on Hellmuth? Comment down below, leave a like, and subscribe for more incredible poker content like this one.